Chris Beckett, Seven Mountains Media. Local filmmaker has a short film that's been going to film festivals all throughout the country, and I got a chance to chat with him about this film. He is on the phone right now. Steve Shaffer, thank you for chatting with us.
Thanks for your interest.
You've been involved in several film festivals with this movie. How did this whole process start?
It actually started about 20 years ago, which sounds crazy, but I had originally written a play that actually had somewhere between 30 and 36 productions. So it did fairly well, and I think that a lot of people liked it. The reason I say 30 to 36 is that I didn't get confirmation on a few of them once the production had actually gone through. Most of them I got confirmation from. So this play that I wrote was moderately successful in the 90s. And then, as these things do, everybody who was going to produce it did, and it's pretty much that was the end of that. So it sat on my computer, or metaphorically on my desk, for all that time, and then I thought I would try to revive it. And putting on live productions is very expensive. So it turns out it was actually just better in the long run to do it as a traditional film. So that's what I did.
Is it still this way today? If you write a play, finish a play, how do you then get people throughout the country to put it on? So much so that you're not even sure how many have been put on.
Right, yeah. So there was an interesting moment in the mid to late 90s. Traditionally, a lot of the play production was controlled by a few companies. So it was very difficult, actually, to get your play out there. But in the mid-90s, mid to late 90s, what happened was the internet really started to catch on. So it turned out there was a website that I don't even remember the name of anymore, but that was pretty popular, and you could put your script up there, and you tell them how many people were in it, et cetera, so that people would know how to select the list. And then people could actually just read the script and decide if they wanted to produce it or not.
Wow, that's a cool service.
Yeah, I don't know. To tell you the truth, I'm unaware now of whether or not that website still exists or if there's others that do it. That's kind of an old reference, but that's how that happened.
Well, guys, start looking around the internet, looking around your friends, see if this kind of thing exists for you, because it might be out there.
There you go.
That got turned into a movie called Appealing, a dark comedy about a serious subject. What is the plot of Appealing?
So the plot is that a woman district attorney is unfortunately murdered in the first scene. But then, however, she appears at the gates of heaven and hell for judgment, and she doesn't like her judgment, so she decides to appeal. And so one of the lines of the movie is, God says, well, who are you going to appeal to? And her answer is she wants to appeal to reason. And that starts the main part of the plot. The first scene just sets it up. So we know she's an attorney. We know that she gets murdered in the first scene. But the rest of the film is about her adventures, let's say, in appealing her original sentence. And it wanders actually through what have become known as the stages of grief by Kubler-Ross. Originally, it was 5 stages of dying in her original book. But so she goes through the whole denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance phases throughout the film. As she's going, she meets various characters, etc. And it is a dark comedy, but it's, again, that's why I have that subtitle, a dark comedy about a serious subject. So I'm not making fun of any of this stuff, but at the same time, I want it to be entertaining.
Just the idea of a lawyer goes to the afterlife and then wants to argue about it, that's a funny idea.
Well, yeah, I liked the premise, I have to say, it kind of makes sense. And one of the people that reviewed the film mentioned that Kelly Warren, who is the star, that she plays the part very well of a young attorney deciding she's going to appeal God's decision. So I think the premise is interesting, and I hope the rest of the film is too.
And you can see the trailer for this at appealingfilm.com. We watched the trailer, and there's like special effects in this thing? Like, it looks like a lot got put into it. How do you do all this? How do you kind of figure out what you need on a budget for a short film?
Right, yeah. So the director of photography, Jason Bond is his name. He was instrumental in being able to bring this stuff to fruition. And basically, I mean, it's fun. It is kind of interesting how it goes. I mean, with green screen stuff, et cetera, now, you can do things that even 10 or 15 years ago were almost unheard of, or you had to have Spielberg budget for. But you can do a lot of things now with software and green screen, et cetera. So we took advantage of some of that. We did some old school special effects as well. I'm a big fan of the history of film, so I did throw in a couple of things, like we have a bat at one part, and the bat is actually on a fishing line. Now, you don't see the guy with the fishing reel, but you can clearly see the fishing line, right? Mm-hmm. So, I mean, we do high-tech special effects, but we also did some throwback stuff.
A little nod to the past.
Yes.
When you finish the movie, it's all done, it's all set. What's the next step to say, I want people to see this?
So there's lots of ways, of course, now with, YouTube and all that to go about this, but I decided to take the first year and submit this to film festivals. So it's not an unusual approach. I mean, it's one of several approaches. And when you do that, typically you can't make the film publicly available for free. If it's publicly available, they don't want you submitting it to their film festivals. People can rent it through appealingfilm.com. You can rent it for 3 days for 99 cents, which was the lowest price that I was allowed to do it. So I'm very happy if people go on there and rent it and watch it. But again, I can't make it free until after I'm through with the film festival circuit.
And I should say, not only are you a local filmmaker, but many, if not all, of the actors in this film are from around the Pennsylvania area.
Yes, they're all from Pennsylvania. Kelly Warren and Austin Green are both professional film actors. They are not from this local area. They're from East, but still in Pennsylvania, so that's correct.
We're going to claim them. They're from PA.
Okay. Yep. And Kelly, by the way, was just on an AMC production the other night, so she's starting to get a lot of traction. She's a very good actress, and Austin has been in a bunch of independent films. Michael Manfred is primarily a stage actor, but he's appeared in a couple of films. And then the other co-star, Jesse Delosier, he's a local stage actor.
Unbelievable. And you found these guys through your work with the Altoona Theater.
Well, I found Michael that way, but actually Kelly and Austin I found through an agent. And Jesse, I knew him through personal connections. Michael, I ended up getting Michael from a casting call in Altoona. And then we also had a bunch of people who were in the film as extras, who were all through Altoona Community Theater. We also had two people, Gigi Campbell and Steve Caldwell, are the other two. That Steve Caldwell plays the bad guy who's actually the hitman, and Gigi Campbell plays the main character's work friend.
I'm so happy I got a chance to talk to you. I saw the article about your film. I looked up the trailer. It looks like a ton of fun. I think I'm going to invest the 99 cents in checking out the full version. And there's just so many local people doing so much cool things that I don't think enough people will get a chance to know about. You're a filmmaker working on a film, putting it across the country, and I think you should be real proud of that.
Thank you very much, and I hope people enjoy it. I will say a couple of things. It's not meant for children, and it does deal with some pretty heady subjects. So I want people to be aware of that when they go to take a look.
Thank you for chatting with us, Steve Shaffer, about his movie. It is called Appealing. Check it out, appealingfilm.com. Awesome talking to you, man.
Thanks very much.
If you have a charity, upcoming event, or 501c3, and you want to be featured on an upcoming episode, you can email me at rbeckett@sevenmountainsmedia.com, RBECKETT @7mountainsmedia.com.